And the projects around here seem to be never ending. If you've built or remodeled your own house, then you know what I'm talking about. There's just an endless list of stuff that needs done to be finished. Just got this lumber delivered. A bunch of 1x4s I'm going to use as baseboard in the house, and that should finish up all the trim with the exception of a little bit of shoe molding in certain places. And I got a bunch of 2x4s here, a couple sheets of 1/2-inch CDX plywood. We're going to make some additional shelves in our basement prepper pantry to expand that and allow for us to store all of our canning equipment because it's taking up an entire garden shed right now. I'm getting ready to move all that stuff up to the basement, build these shelves, get all this consolidated and organized, and then our prepper pantry will be pretty well set up, I would think. Hate how they strap this stuff with metal and they put big dents in the wood. This space is driving me crazy. This is all of our canning jars, some lumber, some gardening stuff. This is a full 1/4 of our basement, and it is an absolute wreck. But we haven't had any place to put it until today when I got the wood to build the shelves to expand our pantry. Pantry's over here. I'm going to replace that little piece of black shelf with an actual built shelf, and we're going to build 2 more of those shelves and put them over here so I can get all of this other extra stuff put into bins and organized, and my OCD will be happy. This is going to be a project. So the way I build these shelves, I make 8-foot long shelves, 2 feet deep, and then they're 79 inches tall, which is 6'7". Yeah, 6'7". So the reason I do it that way is I have 0 waste. I take an 8-foot 2x4, cut off 17 inches, which gives me my 79-inch legs. That 17-inch piece is the crossbar between basically the front and the back of the shelf. And so for every 2 boards I cut, I get 1 end, a back leg, a front leg, and then 2 crossbars. So cut 4 2x4s, and you have 4 ends, and then you just fill them in with 8-foot long 2x4s, and you're making no cuts there. And then when you do the shelves, I do 2 sheets of 4x8 plywood, ripped in half to make 4 2-foot deep by 8-foot wide shelves. Now I use a piece of scrap cut to 17 7/8, and that just kind of helps me do my spacing without a whole bunch of measuring and marking. And that gives me 16-inch shelf spacing. And I picked 16 inches because that's a little bit bigger, enough room to fit the totes in there that I'm going to use. So, I mean, you can measure these and build them however you want, whatever spacing. A lot of the ones over there for the dry goods, I built a big bottom space for the big totes, and then the rest are real small shelves for like canning jars. And that's the beauty of building it yourself. You can make it exactly the way you need it. So, okay, front and back frames are done. Now I've got 4 17-inch long pieces, 1 here, 1 there, 2 on the other side. We'll do 2 pocket holes on each end, and that'll tie the front and the back frames together, make it all square and sturdy. Then we'll do the shelves. All right, turned out really good. So I ordered enough lumber to build these 2 big units and then 1 other unit that's a little bit smaller for all the canning supplies and whatnot. And I ordered 6 sheets of plywood, but they only sent me 1 for some reason. I don't know why. And at first I was a little upset, but then I figured I really don't want to spend $34 a sheet for plywood just to use for shelves. That's a lot of money. And I have all of this culled lumber that I can't really use for anything else because it's warped and twisted and bowed. And I have leftover pieces of 5/8 OSB from doing the roof sheathing. And so I cut up all those crappy boards into 2-foot lengths, which when they're that short, you really can't tell they're all warpy. And they actually turned out really nice. So for the rest of the shelves, I'm going to just cut up whatever I can find that's scrap that I can't really use for anything else, and that's a good use for it because it's starting to pile up. I got lumber everywhere. Also, these units, I built these the same as I built the other ones the last time, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that we use in our prepper pantry. And people have asked me, why do I put the 2x4s flat like this rather than up and down? Because that goes against all building intelligence, I guess. You know, if it was up and down, it would support the load better. Well, I'm not putting a ton of weight on these, and with this support, it's an extra 2 2x4s, and I don't lose that 8 inches of shelf space. It's a big deal when you're trying to fit as many little totes or whatever into those spaces as possible. I do it like that, and it works great. I've never had a problem. I shore up the corners on the back with some gussets, which gives it strength and sturdiness, and man, they work really well. So I'm gonna build one more smaller unit that's about yay high, and it's gonna fit under our air handler over in the pantry, and then hopefully we can start getting this stuff organized. Oh man, talk about a job. I just spent 3 hours organizing, going through every box of everything we had, sorting it by wide mouth, regular mouth, pints, quarts, half gallons. I mean, we got a little bit of everything here. Consolidated, got rid of about 6 empty boxes. So everything is sorted as to jar size and type. Lids and rings, canners are on the bottom. Everything fit. It's perfect. So now all the supplies are here and we're ready to actually start canning. So now I'm going to organize through all this stuff and get it to where everything makes more sense. And once we start canning, I'll be able to start filling all these shelves again. You may recall when we were living at our little trailer waiting while we built the house, we kind of just started eating through all the canned goods, so we didn't have to really move them. And now we're down to just a few jars of, looks like sausage that we use in things like pasta sauce. So real excited to get going on that, but I'm going to start organizing the other side of the basement where I built those 2 really big shelf units. See if we can get a bunch of the stuff up off the floor, go through things, get rid of junk, and just make it look nice so I know where everything is and I don't have things that I don't need. Pretty big job. Workshop is clean. Now I can function. And all the storage is complete. I've gone through every box, I've consolidated, I've gotten rid of a whole bunch of things. Everything is labeled now, I know what I have, where it is, and I've gotten rid of things that I'll never touch again. Been meaning to do that for years, and my OCD is happy now, finally. The workshop is cleaned up, organized, everything's off the floor, all the dust is vacuumed up and ready to go so I can move on to the next project, which I've been putting off for a couple weeks, and that is doing the baseboards and finishing the rest of the trim in the house. I'm tired of staining, so took a break to do all this, and but we're going to get on it next week. Stay tuned, we'll see you in the next video. We appreciate you watching this one. Take it easy.